Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.
Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Hopefully, you had a great Merry Christmas and New Year break. Welcome to the first Tim's News Explosion of 2025, a year where there will be a federal election here in Australia, in Germany, the land of my ancestors, and in Canada, our Commonwealth cousins. So it looks like that federal election will take place without incumbent Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, whose resignation is imminent. Yay! It is 8:30 p.m. here in Melbourne, Victoria. So in 2025, I am going back to the show's original time slot, as 9 p.m. was too late for many of my regular viewers, particularly Linda Hunter. I haven't seen her in the chat so far, but I have seen Larry Reborn. Good to see you back, baby. And we've got Pico Zimanchis. Who was that dork? Are you talking about Larry, or are you talking about Azif Quadur, who says, Tim is a friend of mine, so be nice? Tim, as far as the Islamic Caliphate is concerned, you are currently the correct gender as far as we know. Well, I'm 100% biological male, although I don't want to live in an Islamic Caliphate, thank you. And I don't think one is going to be started in the new Syria. Dawn Browning is in the chat. Happy New Year to everyone. And now we are live back on the Wilms Front YouTube channel, because on the last show of 2024, the account had a 1-week suspension over my interview with Make Australia Healthy Again activist Solin Millen. And also Restream, it has now allowed that you can stream directly to Rumble, but unfortunately it does not give you the ability to like it does with YouTube, to have a scheduled video. The same with Twitter X. So it just appears I have double checked, we are streaming on Rumble as we are X, but it doesn't allow for a scheduled stream there, which is a bit annoying there. And we've got the Flano Philosopher. Happy New Year, mate. You look great. Well, I've just had a haircut. I actually had it in the nation's capital in Canberra last week. I went to Canberra, and I also went to Sydney, rode their new driverless metro system, which goes 100 kilometers an hour underneath Sydney Harbour. When I was in Canberra, I did notice that there was a Australian Federal Police van outside the US Embassy. I'm not sure if that's always there, or it's because of the twin terror attacks, i.e. that it was stationed out there for extra protection. I have to say, a lot of those embassies don't look very well fortressed. There's probably some embassies need more attention than others. Now, today is Monday, January 6th, a day in the US that lives in infamy. It's the 4-year anniversary of the Trump insurrection when the US Congress were counting the votes of the US presidential election, where there was about 5 million votes that disappeared from 2020 till the 2024 presidential election. Apparently the most secure presidential election in US history. And had record turnout, even though, of course, there were so many people too scared to vote because of the COVID virus. Now, of course, according to the left-wing media and the Democrats, that January 6th, it was worse than the US Civil War, the Pearl Harbor attack, and 9/11 combined, even though, of course, the only death on January 6th, or should I say murder, was of a Trump supporter, Ashley Babbitt, a US military veteran shot in cold blood by a US Capitol Police officer. I've seen a lot of anti-Trump accounts showing pictures of January 6th, claiming that should have been the end of it, an attack on US democracy, the People's House. And of course, if it's the People's House, the US Congress, then it's sort of contradictory, a crime that for people to walk into. There were the January 6th political prisoners. There were people who were locked up, became convicted felons for just walking into the building. Linda Hunter, I mentioned you first thing. The earlier time slot is it's in part especially for you, and we've got Wolfman's blunt razor as well. Azif has got a question. Do you think libertarianism is inherently fascist? Well, there's a difference between libertarianism and libertarianism. Libertarianism tends to just glorify degeneracy. Sorry, I'm just pausing for a moment. There's someone screaming out the side of my property, so I'm just a bit. Hopefully, I'm not about to get swatted here. I'm not sure if that happens here in Australia, but the most likely person that could happen to on a live stream is Joel Davis. Maybe that's why he kept delaying his after Christmas New Year live stream. Okay, I think the shouting has gone down now. I don't think it's the counter-terrorism Australian Federal Police, even though I didn't do nothing. But going back to it's January 6th, so Donald Trump has said when he returns to the presidency, the White House in 2 weeks, he will pardon the January 6th political prisoners. Hopefully that includes Proud Boys leaders, Joe Biggs, and also Enrique Tarrio, who wasn't even there on January 6th, but still got convicted of seditious conspiracy. Now, there is, in the aftermath of the New Year terror attacks, there was a lot of alarm. Would there be another attempt to take Donald Trump out before Inauguration Day? Now, we heard Justice Juan Mention, who oversaw Trump's hush money trial where the jury found him guilty of 34 falsifying business records. And of course, there was all of the Democrats and the progressive accounts like Harry Sisson, who said he's a convicted felon. So originally his sentencing was going to be postponed indefinitely, though Justice Merchan has changed his mind and will sentence Trump on January 10, though he's already signaled that Trump won't be sentenced to prison, probation, or a fine, but instead given an unconditional discharge. And Trump doesn't even have to appear in person. He could appear virtually. And of course, all the other federal indictments by the special prosecutor Jack Smith, they have all been either knocked out or withdrawn. And of course, the Georgia RICO case, that fell apart as soon as it was announced by the Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis, who openly admitted on the stand that she committed campaign finance violations. Dawn Browning, have you got? Are you already on an alt? The Field Marshal, I assume that's you. Don't do a Gavin McInnes on us. Well, not not tonight, hopefully. So Wolfman also praises me on starting earlier. Well, one of the reasons I did push back Tim's News Explosion, I think it was a couple of years back, because 8 p.m. on Monday evenings was the Battle of Australia First. So with the Groyper Australia First stream hosted by Gabriel Mare, who seems to have disappeared now. And also there was the White Australia First by Michael J. Nelson Mickle, member of the National Socialist Network, though that sort of ended, I think, when Gabriel Mare gave up as well. Now, let's get on to the New Year's Day twin terrorist attacks in the United States, which led to many wondering, was a sleeper cell activated in the lead up to Trump's second term? Because both suspects were US military veterans. So the first there was the New Orleans pickup truck ramming. So that was in Bourbon Street, New Orleans, a popular social part where, because New Orleans is the home of, well, I've got to say, as an Australian, the straight Mardi Gras, the normal Mardi Gras. So it's quite a popular festival, a very lively New Orleans. So the perpetrator was native Texan, born and raised in Texas, Shamsud Din Bahar Jabbar, a very Texan name, just like Axel Rubicabana was a very Welsh name. So he murdered 14 people, and he was shot dead by police after he tried to open fire on them. Now, they're called the diversity bollards in Australia, the anti-ramming car attack roadblocks were not in place, which would have prevented the attack. Now, I haven't seen the videos of Jaber, who it's been reported was radicalized by Islamic State and posted videos pledging his allegiance to Islamic State in the hours before the attack. Now, I haven't seen any of those videos. They haven't popped up online. Correct me if I'm wrong. Now, we were told originally there was that African American lady from the FBI who said it wasn't a terrorist attack. Then it was a terrorist attack, and apparently he had accomplices who they were hunting down because there were improvised explosives that were found in his pickup truck and all around the site of the terrorist attack. Now, of course, when the news broke, it said that truck runs over New Year's revelers. The truck did it. So clearly, there needs to be a crackdown on these semi-automatic pickup trucks. Now, I do not take from the absolute tragedy that is, because we need to remember that these 14 murdered people who just wanted to celebrate the new year in New Orleans, they're not just a number. They were people who had so much more life to live, and now they have been senselessly murdered because they're at the wrong place and the wrong time, and their loved ones are left to grieve. So this is what we need to remember when these sorts of terrorist attacks are reported. We remember the victims, because this shouldn't have happened. There should have been those proper roadblock bollards that were up. Sorry, it still feels like somebody's outside. So yes, be an interesting, a very explosive Tim's News explosion if I'm about to get swatted. So I do live on sort of a main street, so I guess a lot can go on. I'm digressing here. So only a few hours after the report of the New Orleans, well, it's called I noticed Wikipedia calls it the New Orleans truck attack. So saying that the truck did it. There was the Tesla Cybertruck explosion, which is, of course, a Tesla product owned by Elon Musk, outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas. And now, immediately, this was believed to be another terrorist attack. And the FBI said that they were not discounting that both of them were linked. Now, the man in the Cybertruck who died was Matthew Livensberger, who also was a US military veteran. And now it was believed to be because Elon Musk is part of Trump's administration in DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, that it was meant to send a message because a Tesla Cybertruck outside of a Trump hotel, there were 7 who sustained minor injuries. Now, we were told that the man who died inside the Cybertruck, Matthew Livensberger, he killed himself first, and it was on because he'd put in the Cybertruck fireworks and gas canisters, so the Cybertruck would actually explode. So Elon Musk has said, no, our Cybertrucks can't explode like that on their own. Although footage that has been released showed that he was alive when the Cybertruck exploded. Now, there was a manifesto that was purported to be from Matthew Livensberger, who this was on now I haven't heard of this podcast, the Sean Ryan Show. It was read out by one of his, I think, regulars, Sam Shoemate. So this was apparently his manifesto for blowing himself up in the Cybertruck.
Do you want to read the email?
Yep. So this email came in on December 31st at 10:42 a.m. That is Tuesday. He said, in case I do not make it to my decision point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. What we have been seeing with drones, he puts that in quotes, he says drones, is the operational use of gravitic propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China and the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPSEN, that's Operation Center, our OPSEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, and they are using it similar to how they used the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of those balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned aircraft. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capacity and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. U.S. government needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them and what the way forward is. China is poised to attack anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't because they know I am armed and I have a massive V-bid. Let me pause right there for a second. So he says a massive V-bid. When I was talking to the FBI yesterday, they didn't know what a V-bid was. I had to explain what that acronym meant, literally.
Are you fucking serious?
Dead serious. I said it twice, and he goes, you said that word V-bid. Can you tell me what that is? For your audience, a V-bid, for your audience who has not been in the GWOT for the last 20 years, a V-bid is a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device. In layman's terms, a car bomb, what we saw at Trump Tower. So, backing up, he says, I am armed and have a massive V-bid. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. Here's where he gets into the other stuff, and this is where we had to redact the names. Well, your producer redacted the names. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during airstrikes in Nimruz province, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes of over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of civcas, that's civilian casualties, that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. U.S. FORA continued strikes after spotting civilians on initial ISR. It was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with U.S. FORA, an agent, redacted, of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I worked with, redacted, IO staff on this as well as the response to Bala Murghab. Redacted commander at the time, redacted, can validate this. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war because this is a mutually assured destruction situation. Then he says, for vetting, my LinkedIn is Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18 Zulu out of 110, that's 1st Battalion 10th Special Forces Group. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with UAP, USAP access.
What is USAP? Do you know what that is?
I don't know what that is. But I checked his credentials on LinkedIn. So that was the first thing I did. I went to his LinkedIn page. First thing I noticed was all of his bona fides were in place. He has all the UAS training from USASOC and everything else. And so I said, okay, at least the guy knows what he's talking about with drones. That was a very rough dig into the guy. But my issue was I couldn't validate or verify any of this information. And I told him that. And how I responded to him was in a subsequent email. I said, this is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about gravitic propulsion systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head. Like, I'm not going to go on my social media page and start talking about UFOs and anti-gravity systems and everything. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't. And he said, can I get on Fox News Contact on Signal as well as Sean's show? Hegseth would be good too. That was his last message to me.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, what is a gravitic propulsion system?
Now, probably it will be concluded that Matthew Livensberger was probably suffering from PTSD, and they're using that the claiming that he's probably crazy, the fact that he was a Trump supporter, and he and his first wife divorced in 2018 in part due to political ideological differences, and had just separated from his second wife in the days leading up to the cyber truck explosion. And now both Livensberger and the terrorist in perpetrator of the New Orleans attack, Shamsed Din Jabbar, they had both been stationed at various points in their military career at Fort Liberty, formerly Fort Bragg. And I've heard somebody reply saying there's so many US military people who have been stationed there at some time during their service. So this is not a bigger coincidence as you think. Now, despite the fact that Jabbar, his Houston home was raided, and there's a video circulating from him many years back talking about his they're talking about his business career and how he served in Afghanistan. And obviously, since he was born and raised in America, has a American accent. So this is where the fact that is there this sleeper cell that's been activated, a psyop for the Trump presidency. If anyone's seen the movie about the 21st century version of the Manchurian Candidate, I think it was made in about 2004, directed by Jonathan Demme, featuring Denzel Washington, who just got the US Medal of Freedom from Joe Biden. And what was really bizarre, despite his Houston home, it should be a national security crime scene. A New York Post reporter, Jenny Tur, and her photographers were given a tour of his home.
We are here inside the New Orleans terrorist home. You can see that it's been clearly destroyed, the door at least, from the FBI raid yesterday. But if we walk through the home, we see some signs of what he was up to. He had this work area here, lots of different chemicals splayed around, and different electronics. This is, again, a work setup. Left receipts, just very unkempt in here. If we go over here, actually, you can see the Department of Justice documents here, the search warrant, and the property that they recorded here, which seems to be a lot of chemicals. Again, just left in disarray. There's a bedroom back here, and what appears to be his collection of religious materials, his Qurans, an open Quran with a passage there, as well as even the Bible here, but mostly books on Islam, and his prayer rug just to the left of me here. And if we go back, there's another bedroom here. You can see he left all these belongings, contact lenses, personal belongings, his bathroom. This seems to be some sort of workspace, again, with other chemicals here. The light's still on, some kind of station set up here. We're not really sure what that was for, in what we can assume was also a bedroom. You can see clothes left here, and just a sign that someone was here up until those last few moments when neighbors said he left just before the New Year's holiday, saying he was done with his lease, it was up, and he was on his way to New Orleans where he would live there. Didn't take any furniture because he said his new home would be furnished. That's all we know so far.
Yeah, so some are saying, well, that crime scene, the terrorist homes, it's perfectly set up to prove that he was a radical Muslim, as they say in the United States, and had all the ingredients to make weapons and bombs. And what a coincidence that the news media is given a tour. Now we are now told by the FBI that he acted alone. There are no accomplices, so there's no wider ongoing threat. Though New Orleans did cancel the holding of the Sugar Bowl. That is the Sugar Bowl, not the Super Bowl. So that's the annual college football game played in New Orleans, and it is tied with the Orange Bowl and Sun Bowl. So I probably don't need to know go into the history of college footballs, college football bowls. But if there is no ongoing threat, you'd be seriously pissed if you were a fan who'd made travel plans to go there and it's being cancelled. Now, of course, before Christmas, on the 20th December, over in the German city of Magdeburg, there was another separate Islamic terrorist car attack. Of course, it wasn't the car, didn't drive by itself. They're not all self-driving Teslas. So the terrorist, who is still alive, was caught alive. I was a Saudi Arabian born doctor, Talib Al Abdul Mozen, who was actually wanted by Saudi Arabia on charges related to terrorism and human trafficking, though Germany granted him political asylum in 2016. He'd been in Germany since 2006. Now, he wasn't a recent illegal migrant. He was a doctor. Now, apparently, he wasn't a radical Muslim, but he was described as a anti-radical Islam activist. but he was anti-German, saying that Germany was not doing enough to help migrants. And now there was 5 Germans who were murdered on that day. There's now 6 that has just died and 299 others injured. Just horrific. The most with the most deaths, the Islamic well, they're saying the Magdeburg car attack wasn't Islamic inspired, but it was from a migrant from an Islamic country who was supported Arab migration to the European continent. But remember the 2016 Nice Bastille Day truck attack. Again, it wasn't the truck that decided to murder 86 people. It was the Tunisian-born ISIS terrorist Mohammed Lahin Bouhil, born in Tunisia. So that was in 2016. Again, 86 murdered in France. Just terrific. So that was the deadliest vehicle attack. Again, it's not the vehicle; it's the person driving the vehicle. And of course, all this talk about the US and their mass shootings. It has been sadly shown that cars can be used as terrorist, as mass casualty vehicles by terrorists. Remember, we had 2 Islamic terrorists murder people here in car attacks in Melbourne. And that's why they're called the diversity bollards at public places in the Melbourne CBD, like Federation Square. Now, going back to the Trump transition, there's been a renewed focus then. How can you have 2.5 months between election day and the president-elect being inaugurated? Because Joe Biden he's showing that he just doesn't care anymore. He's determined to do as much damage as he can, pardoning some abhorrent criminals, and he's also decided to give the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Hillary Clinton, George Soros. Now, it seems that he could be close to death, George Soros. So the award was given to his son, Alex Soros, who is coincidentally engaged to Hillary Clinton's longtime confidant, Uma Abedin, who was previously married to former congressman and convicted child sex offender Anthony Weiner. Also, Bill Nye, the science guy, was given the medal, despite the fact that he doesn't believe that there are 2 genders. What have I got? I got some dried lips here, according to. There we go. There. Thank you so much, Wolfman's blunt razor. I think it's gone there now. I get dry lips very quickly, so that's what that was. Now, Trump, he had a victory, and that Mike Johnson was re-elected as Speaker of the United States House of Representatives. There was only 1 Republican vote against, and that was Thomas Massey, because, of course, Mike Johnson is not America first, given that he's always wanting to give more money to Israel and Ukraine. But he had the backing of Donald Trump. Of course, when Trump takes the presidency, he all of his cabinet picks and his nominee for the FBI, Kash Patel, nominee for the NIH, Jay Bhattacharya, they also have to be confirmed by the Senate, which means that he could be basically stuck with Biden officials in all the departments when he's inaugurated. I mean, I've previously said I believe that the president should be able to appoint who he wants. So he should have on day one have RFK Jr., Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tulsi Gabbard, Director of National Intelligence, and his Secretary of State nominee Marco Rubio, all in position by that day. Now, what sort of blew up over the Christmas period? Well, when I say blow up, I mean metaphorically online, in that it went viral, is that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who is Elon Musk's co-head of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, I decided to go in extremely hard and ferociously in defense of the United States government H-1B visa program, which is supposedly for highly skilled immigrants to be in the tech industry. Because remember, there's the tech right behind Donald Trump now. And of course, they want the largest pool of labor to choose from. And of course, as is with Australia and Canada, it's the same in the United States, that the H-1B visas, most of them are coming from India. And now Musk and Ramaswamy, they claim that we need to import these people to work for their companies, so that America still continues to be a number one in the world for innovation and entrepreneurship. But if you're importing all of these people from foreign countries, then is it going to be America as we know it? And this is where Vivek Ramaswamy decided that he would say that claim that the reason why that it's needed all of these foreign workers is because there's been a decline in US educational attainment, really basically attacking American culture. Now, he was born in the United States to immigrant parents from India. He still is a Hindu, which is a Indian religion, as is J.D. Vance's wife, Usha. I'm not sure if what the religion is of Kash Patel and Jay Bhattacharya. And so, yeah, Vivek claimed that American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence, and said that it celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ, or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. And it goes on to say that they're watching that US kids today watching too much TV and not reading enough books, and talks about immigrant parents that he knows who actively limited how much TV their children could watch because they promoted mediocrity. Well, is he talking about all those sitcoms where it's the fat slob husband? Of course, that wasn't just Homer Simpson. There was a whole bunch of them as well. They were more just an attack on the American father, particularly the white father. But this is common for first and even second generation immigrants from not just from India, but from China, Southeast Asia, say, oh, the reason that you need us here is because there's so many of your people here are either on welfare or job snobs, don't want to. We work 10, 14 hours a day. I'm not sure if this is like this is how they really feel about us, or this is just a defense mechanism. I saw that Rukshan Fernando, he posted something similar. Of course, and this has been pointed out by Alex Rosen, and also a surprise opponent of H-1B visas is Jamie Mitchell, the founder of Gays Against Groomers, that if all of these immigrant parents and children, they're so hardworking and are attaining better than those who've been in Western countries for generations, then how come India, Sri Lanka, other countries in Asia, how come they haven't surpassed the United States, Australia in GDP per capita? I mean, how come they are so far behind in our living standards? Obviously, there are countries in Asia, the tiger economies such as Singapore, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, which do have and Japan and South Korea, which do have first world living standards, which is why there's not these mass migrants from Japan, South Korea, or they might be from Hong Kong now since it's under the control of the CCP. And same with, there's not mass migrants from Taiwan and Singapore. Paleoconservative Australian says Japan and South Korea function just fine without immigration, though they have catastrophic declining birth rates, as does Taiwan. And so the globalists are saying, well, they should import immigrants to take care of their aging population. It's the same argument here, that we've got a declining birth rate, and so that's why you see so many immigrants in aged care, disability care, and in lots of low-level jobs. And it was an eye-opener, I think, for many Australians over the Australian summer Test cricket series, Australia versus India, which Australia has won 3-1. And now I noticed that it even got the attention of Andrew Bolt. So he wrote, Andrew Bolt, of course, says that he deplores racism, but he has spoken about for a long time that immigration is more looking like colonization. Of course, this was you remember Pauline Hanson's maiden speech, where she said she didn't just say we're being swamped by Asians, but said they don't assimilate and form ghettos. And we're basically, there's all different ethnicity, nationality ghettos. Now, a lot of the discussion now is focused that, is it because we have mass migration now where there's no incentive to assimilate, integrate, like there was in the past, and also the internet means that they can just basically live in Hotel Australia and not be part of Australia? Or is it just a fact that that these immigrant groups from Asia and the subcontinent, they're just not going to assimilate because it's just how they are. This is what a lot of the discussion is now. So Andrew Bolt's column here, I'll bring it up on the screen. So it says that yeah. So did anyone see that the News Corp papers, they ran a giant ad all over its front and back page, the national broadband advertising the national broadband internet, which is owned by the Australian government, pitched at Australian Indians speaking Hindu. So what the translation was is don't miss a single shot. And so Andrew Bolter says, yes, it seems innocuous, yet it was also unsettling for those who dare think about what it takes to create a nation and not just a hotel. NBN apparently assumed that many Indians don't read English well, or that businesses of Australians who don't read Hindi were not worth chasing. Maybe it's just targeted advertising. And they said, still, maybe there is a language issue with even immigrants now pouring in so fast that 92,940 came in the last financial year. After all, our latest sentence says that 1 in 30 Australians has poor or no English. Mind you, Indians are just the kind of immigrants we'd like, law-abiding and entrepreneurial. And this is why there's a lot of people defending Indian immigrants, saying they're not welfare leeches like, say, British Pakistani Muslims, which I will certainly get to later on in the show. Because, it's not just British Pakistani Muslims, but there's a lot of immigrant Muslims who in Britain who are a leech on the welfare system, while Indian and Asian immigrants in Australia, they work and pay tax, which is obviously why our governments like them, because the immigration Ponzi scheme, it tops up the government revenues. They're addicted to tax and also excise as well through alcohol, cigarettes, and passports. They all went up on January 1. And Andrew Bolt says the old lies used to sell mass immigration have now being exposed. Integration cannot be assumed. We import not just people, but their culture, and immigration today looks increasingly like colonization. And Andrew Bolt mentions that, well, he doesn't say explicitly, but this is, in my opinion, the reason why both of our federal parties pivoted from mass migration to China to India, because China's communist dictatorship tells its 1.2 million Chinese Australians they owe their loyalty to China. And obviously the Arabs here in Australia, Andrew Bolt only mentions the Palestinians, have solidarity of the Arab Muslims with the Arab Palestinian Muslims. And now the Cricket Australia and the cricket broadcast partners, which News Corp is one of them, they absolutely thought that the Australia-India Test Series was one of the most successful of all time. It was a record Test turnout at the MCG, record ratings. Both Fox Cricket and free-to-air broadcaster 7 had Hindi language simulcasts. Now, obviously, the reason why the crowds were so large in Melbourne is because there was a lot of Indian supporters, and I reckon a lot of them would be Australian citizens and permanent residents at the least. certainly, as some of the Australian cricket supporters bantered with them, are not just here on visas. So this was deemed racist, even though it is, I would say it's banter, though I saw that the ethno-nationalists say, yes, we're winning over the young. They don't consider the Indians in the crowd Australian. And of course, the Indian diaspora in Australia, whether they're permanent residents or citizens, most of them support the Indian cricket team. But then again, the migrants from England, they support the English cricket team when they tour Australia with the Ashes, which will be next summer, and also the English national football team, even though England and Australia have won the same amount of international trophies when it comes to soccer. And now, as I've previously mentioned, that mass immigration from India, it's not all curries, Bollywood, and sharing the love of cricket. We have seen, particularly in Canada, that sectarian conflicts have spilled out into the streets of Canada between the Hindus and the Sikhs, because there are many Sikhs in Canada who want to establish a separate Sikh state in the Punjab province, Khalistan. And so we did see at the beginning of 2023 in Melbourne a mini riot in the Melbourne CBD with between Indian Hindu nationalists and Sikh Khalistani separatists are holding a fake referendum to secede from India. And at the first day of the Boxing Day test at the MCG, there were Sikh Khalistani separatists who turned up without a ticket, deliberately to provoke the Indian cricket fans, which now this was posted on, I first saw it on Ozpil's X account, but it had gone all around the Indian media.
India! India! India!
Now, if we apply the Joel Davis precedent, where he was hunted down by Victoria Police after the National Socialist Network Jews Hate Freedom rally outside the Victoria's Parliament House, how come these Khalistani Sikh provocateurs, clearly they were there to sow a racial division So how come they weren't hunted down and arrested? Now, Joel hasn't been charged. Now, of course, I don't support racial and religious vilification laws, but certainly those Sikh Khalanistani separatists, they were certainly breaching the peace, and and they were eventually moved on by the Victoria Police there. But again, there has been like a full. Previously, there was a riot between these two groups at the beginning of 2023, as I mentioned. Thankfully, a riot didn't erupt there, but we have seen on the streets of Canada, both the Hindus and the Sikhs, attempting to attack each other's places of worship. We certainly don't want that here. Well, it'll soon be illegal in Victoria to have that sort of protest outside a place of worship. But I do notice, and it was, of course, Kos Samaras, Redbridge director of polling, saying, "Oh, but the Sikhs, they have the Sikh volunteers. They gave, they delivered free meals to victims of the Grampians bushfires just after Christmas." Yes, that's a form of diplomacy to say, "Look how good, look how kind and caring we are." Also used to give out free food to the community. I'm not saying they're the same, but Pablo Escobar, of course, the Colombian cocaine drug crime lord, he became a politician, but he did community work with like free meals and that, as did the mafia as well. So, and if you've seen any of these Sikh Kalanistanis videos, like they are very menacing and threatening. They sound like Islamic terrorists. They point their finger. They shout like this. Now, going back to as I mentioned, Joel Davis. So he finally was on, came on air after his arrest just before Christmas with Blair Cottrell and Jacob Herzant on Friday. Was it last night? I can't even remember. I think it was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday night. Friday night. I'm losing track of time because I've been on holiday. Joel Davis basically admitted that it wasn't he wasn't like literally like on the run, hopping, running from the police like he was LARPing on social media. He said that the reason why the police rocked up at his home when he wasn't there is because he was drinking with Jacob the night before and crashed at his place and woke up hungover the next morning. So that's why he wasn't there at his home when Victoria Police turned up. There were all those memes by NSN supporters, Catch Me If You Can. Of course, that Steven Spielberg movie. He decided to hand himself into police because he didn't want the police to raid his home during Christmas lunch. Like, remember that happened during Christmas vacation to the Griswold family home when cousin Eddie kidnaps Clark's boss, Frank Shirley, because he didn't pay Clark a bonus that year. So Joel, the point that he's been the point that he wanted to make with that protest and banner, Jews Hate Freedom, was it's been basically proven that you had all of these Jewish groups calling for his arrest and charging including the supposedly free speech Australian news channel Sky News Australia. Caroline Marcus, who is a Romanian Jew who was raised in Singapore. Last time I heard she wasn't even an Australian citizen. She was guest hosting Credlin and said that why wasn't he arrested? Why Victoria Police allowing unfettered anti-Semitism on the steps of Victoria's Parliament House? And this led to a back and forth on X between Caroline Marcus and Joel Davis, because she was like, look, like they've created these anti-Semitic memes about me, claiming I had a nose job. They can't fathom that I have a naturally really great Jewish schnoz. So there was a bit of back and forth there. She was trying to say that she wasn't intimidated by him, but I noticed that after that week she stopped guest hosting Credlin. But they again, a Sky News supposedly free speech network calling for the arrest of people for free speech. Of course, she claimed this is not free speech. This is hate speech. Of course, hate speech it's subjective to everybody. And we have the Allen Labor government wanting to push through their anti-vilification changes, expanding the protected attributes, increasing the criminal penalties to 5 years. And now, Jacinta Allen, she probably got the best Christmas present that she could hope for, in that John Prosciutto had to be blasted out of the Victorian Liberal leadership. So while there were bushfires in the Grampians, which, Jacinta Allen was late for her photo op with Elbow because she had COVID over Christmas. But while one part of Victoria was burning, on the 27th of December, the Victorian Liberal Parliamentary Party Room finally ousted John Prosciutto and elected Brad Batten as leader, with Sam Groth as deputy. Much to my dismay, they put David Davis back as upper house leader, who is just old has-been, and Evan Mulholland, he retained the deputy upper house leader. Now, Maura Deeming was readmitted to the Liberal Parliamentary Party room, and John Prosciutto finally said sorry to her. And, well, it's good that he said sorry, but it was way too late. And it's not going to save him from facing bankruptcy. I doubt there's going to be a fundraising for him now, since he's no longer leader. And now David Southwick is deputy. Also, John Prosciutto's deputy, also ousted, as was upper house leader Georgie Crozier, who of course stood behind John Prosciutto throughout all of his defaming of Moira Deeming, and also ambushed her in that meeting after the Let Women Speak. So Moira Deeming, she was asked, you wanted to give women a voice, but it's an all-male leadership team. And she said, I'm not going to take lectures from people who don't even know what a woman is, which is, of course, is the ultimate checkmate line against it's always the left. They know what a woman is when it, say, comes to abortion, but all the other times it's they can't give a straight answer to what is a woman. Now, the first test for the new Liberal leader, Brad Batten, will be the Super Saturday of by-elections on February 8th, the Paran by-election, which will be between the Greens and the Liberals, and the Werribee by-election, which will be between Labor and Liberal. So obviously that'll be a big test for Jacinta Allen. The Werribee by-election was triggered by the resignation of Treasurer who sent the state broke. Tim Pallas' uncle Fester. Jacqueline Symes is the new treasurer. So all female leadership there. So we'll see if she can do any better. You wouldn't count on it. Now, despite all of the focus, attention, and police resources thrown at trying to find the perpetrators of the Adass Israel synagogue arson, Shane Patton, the Victorian Police Commissioner, said they were looking for 3 suspects, and there was that new anti-Semitism task force by the federal police. They still haven't caught them. But there was an attack on a politically motivated terrorist attack on the venue where the last National Workers Alliance event was held with Matt Tree and Damien Richardson. Antifa-affiliated group. It was they filmed their vandalism. I saw it uploaded to that terrorist organization's social media, WACA, the Whistleblowers Activists Community Alliance, I think that's called, or association. They should be a listed terrorist organization. Now, how come the Prime Minister, the opposition leader, the Premier didn't go down to that venue and promise to rebuild it like they did with the Adass Israel synagogue there? Apparently, it's okay to attack and vandalize venues because you disagree with the political message. It's okay to firebomb Tim Lutz's car like they did last Christmas because he's a member of the National Socialist Network. Again, two-tier policing. I mean, if you want to, if you're worried about, because there was another vandalism in Sydney, car vandalism in Sydney's eastern suburbs. A car sprayed on it was "fuck the Jews." So if this disgusts you, you need to come down hard on all types of politically motivated vandalism and arson, even if the victims are neo-Nazis, because of course this just festers, and then we just get more crime, more politically motivated terrorism in our cities. Now, you will notice on the top right of my screen is the Australia Month January 2025 logo, because it is Australia Month once again. Now, this was started by Ben Shand, the Dusty Bogan, as rather than just be on the defensive defending Australia Day, why don't we go on the offensive and have a whole month to celebrate Australia? Because on January 1, it is Federation Day, 1901, when the 6 colonies became the Commonwealth of Australia. And so the whole month is the celebration of Australia and culminates in Australia Day, when the First Fleet came in 1788. And so I would say it was an excellent initiative, And we are certainly, when it comes to the battle to save Australia Day, we are on we are on the victory path. I mean, we saw just before Christmas that Australian Venue Company, which is actually owned by a Chinese Communist Party affiliated company, backed down when they said that they weren't going to celebrate Australia Day. Cricket Australia this year is going to celebrate Australia Day under new CEO Todd Greenberg, and it seems that he's learnt from his time as a woke CEO of the NRL when he invited Macklemore to sing "Same Love" at the NRL Grand Final during the marriage vote. He got fired at the beginning of 2020. Well, it was basically forced out. So yeah, he basically learnt what it was like to go woke, go broke. And now that he's back in charge of Cricket Australia, so we're not going to be woke anymore. Maybe we can have a word to the Australian cricket captain, Pat Cummins. Pat Cummins, though, even though he's woke, he's a winner. And he's been able to instill a winning mentality in the Australian cricket team. A diehard cricket fan such as, Kyle Kutazi, able to grit our teeth at his wokeness because he's a winner. And he showed when he retained the Ashes in 2023 that he had the winning mentality up against Bazball, and of course had the snobs at the Maribyrnong Cricket Club and Piers Morgan crying tears after Johnny Bairstones went off his line. And also Woolworths supermarkets this year embracing Australia Day in their stores. So there basically is no major corporation that is not embracing Australia Day this year because there was such a backlash last year. Of course, there are still way too many welcome to country ceremonies. And of course, a lot of corporations still have on their website, "We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land, pay their respects to elders, past, present, and emerging." But there is that needs to be the next battle to just basically end this welcome to country, which again it was an invention it was a tourism gimmick by Ernie Dingo in the 1970s. It hasn't been occurring BC before Cook like that welcome to country Uncle Elder did at the AFL final between GWS and the Brisbane Lions. Now, finishing off with some Australian federal political news. So we know that the Australian federal election will be in the first half of this year. Given the budget situation that has really deteriorated, as Jim Chalmers said in my UFO, it is likely that Albanese will go before a budget is due to be given down in April. So we'll go shortly after the WA, announce the election shortly after the WA state election. He was in Queensland today announcing a $7.2 billion upgrade to the Bruce Highway. And and of course, his government is increasing fees and charges as well. Passports, $412, the most expensive in the world, constantly increases the excise on petrol, cigarettes, and alcohol. So who's the real addicts when it comes to alcohol and cigarettes? And they think we don't notice. They think that we're stupid. So also, it was interesting that Chris Bowen, his energy minister, quit X and went over to Blue Sky, which of course has already got a reputation as a haven for pedophiles, fetishists, trans activists, and other snowflakes. So he's not really in good company, Chris Bowen. And it's not going to happen. I mean, X is still going to be the number one social media platform in the world. And even though like Elon Musk did alienate a lot of the people who had embraced X after being deplatformed from Twitter, well, not just alienate them, but demonetize them. The most high-profile example was Laura Loomer. So she was demonetized from X for opposing his H-1B visa stance. I really like Laura Loomer. I know that the hardcore National Socialist LARPers don't like her because she's Jewish. And what was it? I can't remember what was it? One of those I played it on my show. One of those neo-Nazi groups. She decided to turn up at one of their rallies, and she was questioning them, and they were just abusing her for being Jewish. But yeah, Laura Loomer, I still like her. She is America first. She's America first than, well, she's a lot more America first than a lot of others who are in the US conservative movement. But it appears that Elon Musk is trying to, I think, trying to get the X base back. This is why he's gone so hard against the government of Keir Starmer for rejecting the request by Oldham Council, which along with Rochdale and Rotherham, they were the three biggest towns where the Pakistani Muslim grooming gangs run rampant, targeting British Indigenous white girls, and the local authorities, social workers turned a blind eye because they didn't want to be accused of being racist. That was their primary motivation. In fact, there was a lot of victim blaming. In fact, there was a girl who was adopted by her abusers and even forced her to marry him. Absolutely abhorrent. Now, eventually, many of the ringleaders, well, they were found guilty, though a lot of them weren't given prison sentences by, well, guess who? When Keir Starmer was a director of the Crown Prosecution Service, he decided that not all the grooming gang leaders, participants deserve to go to prison. And he's let a lot of them out to make room for Indigenous Brits who took part in the unrest or posted online after the Southport Islamic stabbing of three little schoolgirls, which was later revealed after a cover-up. Axel Rubicabana was radicalized by Islamists. He wasn't just he wasn't the Welsh Christian choir boy that the narrative was. So it all, two-tier Keir has been around, and this is what Elon Musk is discovering. It has been around for the past 15 years, not just when Keir Starmer became Prime Minister. And I see that some British Muslims, they've pointed out that they decided to highlight that 89% of British sex offenders are white, only 11% are Asian. Why do they call them Asian? They called them Asian grooming gangs in Britain, and of course Asian in Australia it tends to mean Chinese, Southeast Asian. It's basically trying to not trying to mention specifically that they're Pakistani Muslim, who their primarily motivation for targeting these white Indigenous girls was racism. They didn't view them as equal to them. They were racially motivated rapes, sex offences against British children, Indigenous children. It's one of the biggest scandals in modern Britain, one of the biggest injustices. I mean, there's so many. There's the post office scandal, there's the Hillsborough cover-up, there's the Grenfell fire disaster. It just goes on, and this this is who we don't want to become. So this was all triggered. The resurgence of the discussion is because the Starmer government rejected a request from Oldham Council to have a national inquiry, and the British cabinet ministers who nearly lost their seats to pro-Palestine Muslim independence, Home Office Minister Jess Phillips and Health Secretary Wes Streeting said there shouldn't be a national inquiry. This has all been done, and Elon Musk, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He's ill-informed. Jess Phillips, she has downplayed the mistreatment she's claimed that it's just it's no different from sort of what they're doing, these British Pakistani Muslims. Well, she didn't talk about the groom gang specifically, but said, what about catcalling by white? So she was trying to create a false moral equivalence. And of course, she got a serve of what you would say toxic Islamic masculinity on election night. Elon Musk said that she deserved to be in prison. I think that Carl Benjamin should withdraw his apology to Jess Phillips, given her recent behaviour. Maybe she just should have been thrown to that mob on election night in Birmingham. The fact that it has got to the stage in the UK where getting the votes of these Muslim groups is more important than the safety of British children. And Elon Musk has also come under attack by Nigel Farage for calling Tommy Robinson a political prisoner. Now, Nigel Farage and Reform, they are losing more political capital by constantly demonizing and attacking Tommy Robinson than they would get from embracing him. Like this is the thing. He said, Tommy Robinson's not in jail for exposing the grooming gangs. Well, he was previously in prison for filming one of the suspects outside of the courthouse. The mainstream media were allowed to do it, but he wasn't allowed to do it. Of course, he's in jail for contempt of court for that silenced documentary, which, although he pled guilty to the contempt of court, it shouldn't have been suppressed in the first place. I mean, the whole reason he kept getting sent to prison is because of all the injustices that he's trying to expose. And Nigel Farage blew up UKIP because the leader is the leader of UKIP. A couple of leaders after Nigel Farage, Jared Batten, hired Tommy Robinson as an advisor. Then he founded the Brexit Party, which is now the Reform Party, which is a limited company controlled by a small number of shareholders. Primarily being Nigel Farage. Now, Nigel Farage has said that we shouldn't alienate British Muslims. Basically, find some sort of appeasement with them, and he hired he gave the Reform chairmanship to Zia Yusuf, a Muslim millionaire who is a merchant banker. In fact, all of the Reform MPs, I'm not sure, apart from, I can't remember if Lee Anderson used to work in banking, but they're all merchant bankers. And Nigel Farage says, oh, Tommy Robinson's a convicted criminal. Well, so is Reform MP James McMurdoch for his act of domestic violence, kicking an ex-girlfriend when he was a young lad. But he was allowed to stay as a Reform MP. Is that because he's a merchant banker, while Tommy Robinson is a working class pleb, which is a disparaging term for a British working class lad? There is a lot of snobbery and snootiness that comes across in Farage's criticism of Tommy. I mean, is that what the reform vetting process is? That you have to be a merchant banker to be a Reform Party candidate? Does he feel that he wants to be prime minister, and and of course he believes that he needs money to do so, and he's getting all of the ex Tory donors. The most recent that defected from being a Conservative Party donor to Reform Party donor was businessman Nick Candy, who is married to former Australian Neighbours star actress and singer Holly Valance, who is now a Holly Candy. So this is like, obviously, Nigel Farage is keen to pump up that Reform now has more members than the Conservative Party. But of course, getting all of these members, so a lot of them would be ex-Conservative, that doesn't translate into votes at the next general election. I mean, he's lucky, Nigel Farage, that Kemi Badenoch is such a terrible Conservative Party leader. I mean, the fact that she claims that the Reform Party had data manipulated their membership numbers to claim that to falsely claim they'd surpassed the Conservative Party in membership. People were saying, how do you know that, Kemi Badenoch? Did you hack into the Reform website again like you did for your Labor opponent over a decade ago? If not, then that's a serious criminal offence. So Nigel Farage is lucky that he is facing such a terrible Conservative Party leader in Kemi Badenoch. Now, Kemi Badenoch, she obviously was born in the UK to Nigerian parents, but she was raised in Nigeria, but she doesn't identify as a Nigerian because it is basically a country divided between the Christian South and the Muslim North. So she, on a recent podcast, she identified as a Yoruba woman. That sort of sounds like Indigenous Australians identify with their tribes. So she identifies with this Nigerian ethnicity. She's a proud Yoruba woman. So she doesn't identify as Nigerian per se. So there's been a lot of people impressed with Rupert Lowe, Reform MP, who again, merchant banker, but one of his base tweets was talking about how native Indigenous Brits are at the back of the queue when it comes to British healthcare and the NHS. And Nigel Farage has called for Rupert Lowe to be the new Reform leader, replacing Farage. Pelican Conservative Australian says Mark Collett for Prime Minister. I noticed here that Iron Duke says Tommy Robinson is a Zionist funded and there's a lot of rumors of drugs and corruption around him. Neocon Douglas Murray also likes him. Tommy Robinson, the truth of him is that he's not all that extreme. He's basically a liberal who realizes that Islam is not compatible with liberalism. And Geert Wilders, who is part of the Dutch government now, he summed it up perfectly. The more Islam you have in a country, the less freedom you have. All right, that's a wrap of the First Tim's News Explosion for 2025. Now, I will be back this Thursday, 7 p.m. Melbourne time, for the first Wilms front of 2025. So I'm going to be switching back to Thursdays for Wilms front this year. That was the original night of the show, but I moved it in 2023 because the Joel and Blair show was on Thursday evenings. But because they don't start until 8:30 p.m. now or even later, I've decided to move Wilms Front back and start earlier. Of course, that still means I'm available later to take part in Ben Shan's The Dusty Bogans Thirsty Thursday, where of course there will be a lot of Australia Month updates this Thursday evening. But of course, before my first Wilms Front guest this Thursday evening, 7 p.m. Melbourne time, will be a former City of Casey councillor and deputy leader of the Rise Up Australia Party, Rosalie Cristani, who's written her autobiography memoir, Battlefield, Standing Firm for God and Nation. So it is, I will discuss it more in depth with the author herself, but I read it on my travels to Canberra and Sydney, and it's a real warts and all autobiography. A memoir. It was extremely compelling, so I'm very much looking forward to interviewing her about it. And also, even though she's not a politician anymore, I like to get her opinions on the current issues that our nation is facing. Now, Reality Check Radio is on a summer break. We'll be back on air at the end of January. So that is when I'll return to my regular Tuesday Wilms Report segment, Australia Report with Paul Brennan. But in the lead up to RCR's return, there will be another one-off Trad Tasman talk show with myself and Dewey DeBoer, who is also a RCR host with his program, The Dialogue. So you will remember that we formally ended the show at the end of 2022, but we've done a number of one-off shows because we're still friends, and we correspond regularly, and obviously Reality Check Radio has been an absolute godsend for the freedom in New Zealand, keeping the new government there to account. And certainly we do need a proper freedom. Obviously there's all of us individually doing our streams, but there's not really a network. The closest is a ADH TV, which was started by the first host draw card was Alan Jones, who hasn't been on air since he was charged with groping young men The main host now is Chris Smith. But this year it is going to be affiliating with Newsmax, which is the American broadcast station, which after Tucker Carlson's firing from Fox, a lot of MAGA America Firsters switched to watching Newsmax. You can get it here through Flash News here in Australia, Newsmax, but there's going to be a Newsmax Australia. I think that's what ADHTV is going to be coming. So regular contributors to ADHTV, well, people who are not allowed on Sky News anymore because it's so scripted and controlled now, such as Craig Kelly, John Ruddick, Ross Cameron, and of course Fred Paul, who was fired from Sky News for not taking the COVID vaccine as well. Yes, download the app if you want to listen to RCR. Paul Brennan, he's spoken to some very high-profile people over the years. Probably the most high-profile is Dr. Naomi Wolf, who's, well, of course, her exposés on COVID and the vaccines has just been exceptional. Now, I'll be recording some new reports from Tiger Mount with Richard Wollstonecroft later this week. He has still been busy over the Christmas New Year period because Sam Newman hasn't taken a break over Christmas and New Year, still doing You Cannot Be Serious. So Richard was part of his Christmas show. Sam has every week as a permanent co-host now, former North Melbourne and Adelaide player Wayne Carey, who I have to say, obviously, he's had his controversies during both his playing career and post-playing career, but it's really good to just hear the ordinary, normal Wayne Carey, because most of his life is it's just his children and his new missus, he's having another child with. Also, he regularly has Ricky Nixon on as well. Of course, was Wayne Carey's player manager, involved in a number of controversies, and of course, Ricky Nixon is not, when you hear him on Sam Newman's program, he's not the villain that you've been led to believe he is. So, and of course, Richard Wollstonecroft, he firsthand has met these people and has got on well with them. So there's a comment there from as if most normal people that don't describe to political correctness swear a lot. Well, I don't believe in censorship, including swear words. Obviously, if it's supposed to be a family-friendly program, I'll avoid swearing. I don't think I swear too much tonight. There's obviously certain guests I won't swear in front of. Now, before I finish, we have, when I say we, myself and Damien Ferry, we have started publishing the first 5 categories for the 2024 Unshackler Awards. So this is a series of 10 awards with 10 nominees each that have been in place since the Unshackled began. So it starts with the Australian Regressive of the Year Award. So make sure you visit the unshackled.net and click on the Unshackler Awards on the menu tab. So the Regressive of the Year, at the moment, Anthony Albanese is in front with Devere Abramovich second, last year's winner. In the Australian Unshackler of the Year Award, currently in front is Ralph Barbette. That is because he shared it. Coming in second place is Damien Richardson, and Pauline Hanson is coming third. Then going to the International Unshackler of the Year Award. And Donald Trump is currently far out in front. And the International Cuck of the Year Award, way out in front is our Energy Minister, Chris Bowen, with Justin Trudeau, a repeat winner, in close second. And just recently published tonight, the Cis White Male of the Year Award. Now, I'm not sure how many votes there have been now. Novak Djokovic, who's coming back again for the Australian Open, still carries trauma after he was detained when he arrived here for the 2022 Australian Open, with Alex Antic coming in second. So the other 5 awards that are going to be published in the next few days, took a bit of a break from publishing awards because both me and Damien were on holidays. So we've got the Triggered Feminist Award that'll be coming up most likely tomorrow, then the Culture Warrior of the Year Award, and then there is the Degenerate of the Year Award. So many nominees this year for that award. Then there is the International Media Personality Award, and then there's the Fake News of the Year Award. So the winners are announced on Australia Day by Damien Ferry, Senior Editor, who me and him were the remaining originals from the founding of the Unshackled in 2016. So Damien, he occasionally contributes articles here and there, but every year still does the awards. So I'm very grateful for his founding and organizing of these awards every year. And now, of course, I cannot do all of the Unshackled productions go at the intense pace that I want to go without all of your support. So please consider taking out an Unshackled membership at the unshackled.net/membership. So the website, of course, is used for our articles and our Unshackler awards. So you can take out a bronze for $5 per month, silver $10 per month, gold $25 per month, platinum $50 per month. Or you can take out a yearly membership, $50 per year, silver $100 per year, gold $250 per year, and platinum $50 per year. And then, of course, over on Substack, you can take out a membership there. That's where our Unshackled Productions archive is now stored, and I send out email alerts. So you can take monthly $5 per month, annual $50 per year, a founding member $500 per year. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me for the first Tim's News Explosion for 2024. It seemed the feedback about the earlier time has been well received. So remember, Wilms Front, even earlier, 7 p.m. Melbourne time on the Wilms Front channels. Make sure that you subscribe wherever you are watching live or on the replay, whether it be on YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, where I upload the replay, X. Make sure you subscribe, click the bell to enable notifications, thumbs up, comment below. Make sure you check all of my social medias for show updates as well. So good night, everybody. Thank you, everyone, so much for your continued support and contributions all throughout the night. And I will see you again on Thursday. Good night, everybody.
Tim's News Explosion. 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 Tim's News Explosion.